Alrighty, Ferg, this is my first art piece. This is my recycled paper. Just to remind you, I did make this one at home. The name of my art piece would be the Papyrus Lorax. The materials I used to create it would be a colander, a baking sheet, my oven, a blender, some food dye, paper scraps, and some paper towels. I would say what inspired my work would be the lesson we did about the Lorax and John Muir and the Sierra Club, and how, I don't know, I thought about just the environment, and then I thought about trees, and then I thought about that lesson, and that inspired the Lorax quote that I found. The reason why I chose the subject matter would be because the papers were recycled, and I feel like it speaks on the message that I put on the paper, just because it's important to take action about your environment and go outside and help. Otherwise, nothing's going to get accomplished in our environment or our nature. What I wanted to have the viewer feel in this project would be that I hope that they felt more intrigued to go learn more about going outside or going into our environment when they saw the recycled paper in multiple fronts, when they saw the quote, and, for example, when they saw that the paper itself doesn't necessarily look like normal paper. For my next project, which is the Painting Like Bob Ross project, this is my painting, and then let me show you my source image. And this is the source image of El Capitan, which is in Yosemite National Park. The name of my art piece is The Peaceful Breeze at El Capitan. The materials I used would be the canvas, the paint, a sponge, a cup of water, as well as a palette knife. The reason why I chose the medium would be I just felt like the National Park of Yosemite is inspirational. I've been there a couple of times, and I felt like that El Capitan is just a cool image to paint. Fun fact, it's the tallest mountain that somebody has ever free soloed by themselves with no equipment or no one else. What inspired the work would be I saw Bob Ross's painting style and then the images of Yosemite, and I felt like that would be a good mix of both. And then, where's my park located? Yosemite National Park is located in California. It was established October 1st, 1890. The average area roughly is about 1,169 miles squared. Roughly, it gets 3.29 million visitors a year. This kind of fluctuates, and because of COVID, it's starting to go back up. Some flora and fauna that is present in the area would be the California black oak, the ponderosa pine, the incense cedar, the white fir, corn lilies, red columbine flowers, green gentian, the yampuff, broadleaf lupins, dog violets, scarlet monkey flowers. And then here's a paragraph about the geological history and setting. Yosemite National Park is located in Sierra Nevada, California. The landscape of the park results of a glacial interactions between the two rock formations millions of years ago. The distinct rock formations of Yosemite National Park are mostly comprised of granite. Yosemite Valley was home to the Apalachee people thousands of years before the settlers arrived in the area. Although the first Native American tribe, the Apalachee, were present, the first outsiders encountered them in the 1800s. In fact, the tribe is responsible for the naming of the Yosemite Valley, called Anwahi. The valley became Yosemite due to the mispronunciation of the settlers. Alrighty, and then my next project would be my agamograph, and I will show you that here in just 1 second. The first image is going to be a mountain that has lots of life and snow, and the second image is going to be that of the mountain after climate change, and all the snow is going to be melted, and then the goat died, and then there's going to be rivers running down from erosion from the snow melting. And then I chose to name it the Mysterious Mountains. And then what I used to create this project would be scissors, paper, tape, markers. What inspired the work would definitely be the topic of climate change and how human interaction can make climate change worse and how it can speed up that. What I hope people to feel out of this project would be I wanted to feel that climate change isn't fake and that there is actual things happening in the world that we can go out and change before it gets too late. And then now I'm going to go ahead and show you that project. Alrighty, my last and final piece would be my junk art. What it is 4 LaCroix cans that I cut up and made into a rose, and this is supposed to be a daisy with both have green stems, and they also have beads in the bottom of the LaCroix can. I made this by cutting up 4 LaCroix cans, spray painting the 2 red and gold, and then cutting out the lid of the last one. And then what then I decided to name the piece would be Wilting Flowers, just because they're aluminum, they can't wilt. So I thought that was kind of ironic. The materials I used were some zip ties, some glass beads, 4 LaCroix cans, tape, 2 green pens, red and gold spray paint. What inspired the work? Well, I was sitting at dinner, and we had LaCroix that night, and it was the cherry blossom flavored one, and I saw some flowers on there, and I thought, oh wow, we could repurpose this to make it look like flowers. So that's what kind of inspired the piece. Would be just there's a lot of junk around our house, and so I saw this and I thought that's perfect. Why did I choose the medium? I chose the subject matter because I wanted to express that non-everyday items and something you wouldn't consider that is something functional, you would consider it functional just to get sparkling water out of it, can be used as an art piece or something that you would necessarily not be able to purchase at a store. What I hope when people see this image would be just that they reassess the amount of junk in their life and not necessarily throw it away, but be able to identify it and then reuse it around something in their house. Not necessarily for art, but just for something in our everyday life. 10 things that we can do with trash instead of throwing them away would be, first, obviously we could make it into art. We could make it into something that provides function. We could make it into something that provides aesthetic value, so that's another form of art. But we can always just make it into something new rather than recycling it. Yes, recycling it is really cool. We can take these aluminum cans and turn it into, say, for example, a frame for a car that's made out of aluminum. Fun fact real quick, LaCroix cans are the only cans that don't have a plastic liner on the inside, so it makes them easier to recycle. And as well as, just using junk in our house to make it into something better. For example, instead of throwing away a container of Chex Mix, for example, we could use that to make it into a storage container for cotton balls on your under your sink, or just something of that nature that you can reuse for something in your house rather than throwing it away before it goes to a landfill. Lastly, the last thing that I would say we should use trash instead of throwing it away would definitely be to help collect other trash. For example, I have a trash can made out of a big cheese puff ball that we just painted and put a lid on it because my dog gets into every other trash can. So we use that, and it's got a tight lid so he can't get in it. Another cool way that trash is being used other than art would be to, one, use for function, so like a doorstop or something of that nature. Like if you're walking down the H hallway, one of the teachers has a broken statue, like the top is broken in it, and he uses that as a doorstop, and there's a piece that slides in the back and you can set it in. As well as there's lots of cool things made out of recycled aluminum. Like, for example, one of the new electric trucks that's coming out is using recycled aluminum panels for its body panels. And lastly, a lot of cool things that are that trash is being used other than art would be for something like upcycling. For example, someone takes a dirty garment or something that isn't necessarily seen as having value and adds multiple things to them, and maybe gems or beads or something like that. Like a company from Japan called Capital does a lot of this, where they upcycle something and makes it into a better piece that necessarily more people would want. And especially seeing something like what Balenciaga is doing as well with the recycled shoes, that they're essentially taking old shoes and making them into something that the end consumer might want.